So happy to be back here with you. Do I look at this one or that one, Yuri? This one, okay. And something that kept me busy, and some of you know that during the last 10 days, it's been the eruption in La Palma. I literally felt an eruption in my own body. And I'm into the deep dive, of course, and into body work. And I experience La Palma as part of my body, building up this relationship. And that's exactly what we are doing during these classes. We are reframing what the body is, and also and certainly what body work is. Shifting it from the therapeutic approach to an equally spiritual aspect of life, just as the soul or the mind. So that's our intention. And while looking at the pictures of the volcano, of course, I know people who lost everything there, and of course I feel what they feel. Must be, can you imagine if a 10-meter high, 500-meter wide thing, black thing comes to you? That's quite deep dive, I would say. That's quite scary. But it also shows this power. And some people say like, oh, we should not look at the beauty of the whole thing because people are suffering. I think that's an illusion. I think we should do this at the same time, because part of the message is, yes, people are suffering, and it's part of this whole thing of living close to nature and in wild nature. But even if we are in very deep pain, then an important aspect of the alchemy is the ability to see the beauty in it. And that's why I invite people to do that. Something else than tourism, to see the disaster or something. It's something very different. It's about respect. It's about letting life and death come together in true life, not in your mind, but in a place deep inside your body, to feel that. We all need a love affair with places on earth, and very few of us are born in a way that we feel this deep love for earth. This is not the same than loving the butterflies in the forest and supporting Greenpeace, which is fine, of course. We need first, most of the time, we need the beauty, you know, just like as a man, you need the beauty of woman before you can start to discover, and then even much later to appreciate what she really carries in her body. Well, that's not different at all than the love affair we need with our great mother. We need to go beyond the planet, beyond the aspects. But these aspects first we need to recognize as a part of us. You're in the Amazonia and you really fall in love with this place, or like me in the Pyrenees or in La Palma, you're like, something happens to you and you cannot really choose that. Somehow, like we know in a love affair or in happenings in life, that life has put you there. I heard of people who are like pulled to a place in Italy, to a mountain, and then they felt this beautiful place inside their soul being. Now, just like falling in love, that can be quite a fall, a downfall also. It's the falling brings you out of the seemingly balance of the thinking mind. So now you feel something different. In the mental disbalance, you start to feel this alignment inside. So after this first falling in love, it is to start letting the projected beauty that you see there, the reasons why you love this place. That's a good one. You're there. Oh, I love it. The smell. I heard people saying, oh, I love Africa because of the smell, and then the people, and we have like 1,000 reasons. But I want you to have no reason, no reason. You just love the place. When there is no reason, and also like with my wife, I have absolutely no reason to love her. I just love her, right? That's something completely, entirely different than that. Then the fusion, the unity with that, if it's a woman or it's the earth or it's a life, you can give up this last reason to allow it to become one with you. That's when we start to talk about alchemical bodywork. I know I started this with La Palma because it also includes that you share the virtues in this moment, you share the consciousness, and you share the pain. The pain that I felt was a place, it brought up some emotion inside of me that it was this stream of lava that I've known for a very long time in my life. And the judgment I got from my environment, and there was still some stuff around there that I have to be careful how much I can be myself somehow. That is the emotional response to it. And then again, it's to go back to that place that we feel. I'm talking about La Palma because that's how I can illustrate it, but maybe you have another place. Once we start to discover these places, and I hope for you that you find a place, it doesn't have to be the other side of the world, but actually doesn't really matter. Once we have found one or two of these places, then it's the practice, you bring them home with you. We have to date first. In the beginning, it's mainly mental and emotional. The soul is touched, but we cannot contain the state. We want to go back. It's like this woman, I want to see her again, you know, because you know she's not inside of you and you're afraid to lose her, you know. So gradually, it's like it's not that you don't love her anymore, but you can find her inside of yourself now. And the same is with the earth and with her body. That's what we're talking about. Once found the entrance, because it's an entrance in her true body, then we start to see like, oh my God, I don't have to go to La Palma. I like to go there. But I can be in her body whenever I like. And I start to find similar entrances. Then we find it in somewhere in our living room or in your garden. A very simple place where you can sit, be quiet, and think. Because gradually, just like we have favorite places in our body and places we forget, and also with woman or with man, we have favorite places in his or her body, and other places you don't even know about. This can be shocking. It can be shocking if you discover that. When we can enter our body and her body, woman and earth, in whatever place, then we really are one with her. Because then there is no bridge, there is no wall to cross anymore. What we do in this being together is very similar to that. We're not researching body work and how to apply things on somebody else. It's actually a research lab on the nature of what body is, I would say, and how it works. It's the body at work. What is that? To start the mystery. And that creates the journey. That's what I do. I find it important that it is not something like, oh, we have a class, I start to write down things, and then I tell that to you. No, that's not how it works. And I know we're going to meet. I connect to my fellow glands and organs. I say it a bit disrespectful, that's you guys. That means you're part of my body. I perceive you like that. You're part of my body. And then you guys start telling me all kind of stuff, you know? I sit there and I start to scribble. I write these things down and I feel so thankful then because it comes through me. But why are we sitting in this setting now? Because my intention is I wish this for you, right? I hope you understand that. I wish this for you. It's not like an ability, but it's a place inside yourself where you can feel the information. You can feel the body of this other person, not using your third eye or the energy, but directly. It's a question I get very often. People ask me, if you go so deep and so close, isn't it not tiring? Don't you pick up the energy? Very rarely, only if I have attachment, I pick it up because then I'm in the energy. Otherwise, I'm in the subtle energy. And in the subtle energy, there is no distance. Because we're in the fifth dimension, everything is completely one, already there, even if it's still itself. If I have attachment, if I have emotion, if something is triggered by being with the person, yes, I will be tired. Well, thinking about if I'm really in this state that I'm sharing with you, well, I go out of the room and it's finished. That was it. Happened in that moment, right? And it's a very liberating experience, like a deep meditation. That. So I repeat, we are redefining what body work really is together. You're inspiring me. You guys are more the yin. I'm more in the yang position in this setting right now. And together it comes up. And then, of course, my invitation is then when you start putting your hands on your body and you start to do it on somebody else's body, you start to experience different things. And quite some of you have shared that your treatments afterwards were different. Anybody felt that? Wave to me to let me see. Yeah, I know from quite a lot of you. Not that on Thursday evening we had the class with tomorrow I have a treatment. That's all that's in the world. We go into a place. I wish that you're in this place forever because you're there anyway. And then tomorrow you go back to the place, right? Just like you go into another room, another part of your consciousness. And more you become really sure that this is there forever. And it gives a lot of trust then, because you don't have to prepare or do effort in this moment. So that's our intention. This is why the first theme, being in touch, is, well, it's a question or that therapeutic bodywork is not really dealing with, I would say, and certainly not the breath of life that you have received now as a text. I love this theme very much, and it's very mysterious. And actually, the day after our meeting, I sat down and I said, oh, I have no clue what it would be next time. And I wrote down the breath of life. So I knew right away what it was. And it came from nothing somehow. Breath is so essential in the alchemical bodywork. It's really essential. Maybe it's good that we listen together to the text again, not from a recording. Alka can help us with this. You need this? Oh, okay.
It can influence its depth, its speed, but not its presence. Only life decides if you can get another breath cycle or not. It makes it clear that you are not breathing. Only life rules breath. True breath only shows when I am life. When I want to breathe, I breathe my air. It is an act of separation. When life is breathing in me, I am the breath of life. When I touch you, being the breath of life, I invite life to return. My touch makes breath substantial. I invite you from a state of compassionate presence to be a life, touching your immortal nature.
3 different steps. So first, we have to redetermine the one who is breathing. You're not just like everybody else, unless you have researched this in depth. We are not attached, we are not aware of our attachment to the one who is breathing. Oh, people experience this the moment that, maybe when they get corona in the serious stage, when they can't breathe anymore, then we can feel the panic that is around this. Because taking the breath for granted is one of the most natural, arrogant things in our society. So we have to go, why? To go into that deeper state where the bodywork goes by itself. We have to surrender the control on the breath. That means that we are okay with this being it. This being it, that means I am talking right now. This is what I have, okay? It's the only thing I have. And of course, I would like to have another one, but I can't take it for granted. I can't be sure if that happens again, this in-breath. That's why I wrote in the text also that to be aware that the only thing we can do is to influence the breath. If I run hard, my heartbeat will go up. If I do this, immediately, oh my God, I control my heartbeat. No, I don't. I control my body. Look, I can move. I can control my breath. Look, it doesn't say anything. I can only influence a little bit, right? Because I cannot say to my heart, okay, finish. Boom, boom. You see, I cannot say to my body, stop. It keeps going. All the cells or everything keeps going. If you say, just try it out, just stop breathing, finish, that's it, stop it. Well, of course you don't want to, but try. Let's say you're very dedicated. I am gonna stop breathing. The chance it's gonna work is 0. I can tell you what's gonna happen. If you're really crazy and you hold your breath so long, you will get unconscious. And guess what's happening then? You start breathing. That means you have nothing to tell. Breath is not in your control. Why is that important? Because the one who is controlling the breath will determine the possibility of the breath. You get this one? the one who's controlling it, the one who's handling the tool. You have like a very special tool for surgery, so, but you don't know how it works. What is the special tool? It means nothing. It is the one who's handling the tool who determines what you can do with it or not. Now, breath is a really sacred tool that we have received. It has the power that the mind has and the body has. But we can't use it if we don't know it and if we take it for granted. So we need to change that. So that life in me, the being that you are, becomes the one that is using the breath consciously. And not the thinking that is using it, because then it's a useless thing. So let's start with, well, I said there's 3 different steps. You get the other steps when we go through it. I'm not going to explain them first, but let's do a little breathing session. Kan je mijn zak steken? Oh, yeah. Okay. So relax. What we're going to do in this first session is to research, to do, it's an introspection round on the different qualities of breath. And it's the 3 aspects is the dynamic aspect of the rhythm. Then there is the more static aspect of the life in itself. And then there is the origin of breath, which is empty. So we will start with going to this rhythmic quality. And rhythm in the alchemical bodywork, rhythm is connected to the element water. So touch your body to open your skin. Don't mind your breath. Just trust that it's happening anyway. Do the touching naturally. Balancing the inside, outside energy of the body. Balancing the mind, body, and soul. See if you can do this without picturing what you touch, without naming it. That's first of all, shoulder, back, and so on. Second one is without picturing it. Just keep going, feel this shift happening. When we start to relax deeper, the naming disappears. And if we go even deeper, the picturing disappears. And if we go even deeper, the recognizing the place where the touch is disappears, because your form starts to disappear. You can still notice the touch now. You can still notice the touch. But since there is no form, it is just touch. Take some time to get into that state. Naming, picturing, place. They all disappear. And now just notice that you are breathing. This you are breathing means that your body is breathing. The one who's noticing the breathing is not breathing. That in itself can be quite an experience, because we always say, I am breathing, but it's the mind who is the I and the body does the job. So let go of the observer more and more and go as close as possible to the source of this breathing. Because it's definitely not your mind. We can notice it in the body. But then the mind will tend to name it again. It's my lungs. It's my diaphragm. It's my belly. It's the air. Well, it's none of that. That's all a response. So again, drop the naming. Drop the naming. You don't know what is breathing. It is breath breathing. Just like life is living inside of you, breath is breathing inside of you. Oh, what a relief. Something less to do again. Now there might be places where you can feel it, but as much as possible, don't name them. And then gradually also forget the places, but keep the experience of breath. Also, don't start to focus on energy, on tensions, and so on, because immediately we will get back into the form. Keep your intention on purely breath. This mysterious rhythm happening inside of you, which I call the dance of life. Better. Now that you start to surrender, form starts to disappear. That means breath gets more space inside. And you might notice the quality for sure is changing, but maybe also the rhythm. My rhythm has changed a lot. Just notice it vaguely and let it go. Now notice the yin and yang cycle in your breath. Remember, nobody's breathing. There's just breath. And part of the nature of breath is rhythm. That's what you're experiencing. It takes the duality out of the breath and makes it pure. Or if there's still sound in your breath, it might be effort, too much focus, like helping it, which doesn't work. So relax deeper if you feel the effort. So often it is a remain of the observer. The observer may go to sleep. The rhythmic aspect of the breath is into the postnatal, but also in the prenatal, because it's the yin and yang play. If it's balanced, just this quality of breathing, the experience of breath, is deeply healing in itself. Now, in the deeper prenatal, start noticing when the breath is changing from yin to yang. Might be a fraction of a second, but with some of you it will be several seconds. That means yang is at its maximum. It stops first before it becomes yin, and the other way around. Now, this is quite tricky for the mind that finds it an interesting idea. From curiosity, wants to try it out. Just don't do that. Respect completely the change in the breath. You can't drive your car to the back before stopping driving to the front, because there will always be a stopping point. It's to notice that point. Noticing consciously without influencing it is enough. If the breath stops longer on in or out, make sure you stay completely relaxed. If you notice your lungs, which most likely you won't because you're breathing completely, even your aura, if you notice your lungs, let go of the idea, relax deeper. You might feel like I feel now that the breath is starting to balance out your system and also balance out our group. Okay. I would say just keep reading. That keeps the breath going. My suggestion is that you just continue while I talk a little bit. So don't come out of this. That was lovely, or it is lovely where we are. I have to bring myself a little bit back because I could sit here for a few hours like this. The peace there is so beautiful. I love the story in the Vedic tradition of the breath of Brahma. They don't at all, just like the Taoists or the Maoris and so on, they don't believe at all. And this whole 15 billion year old universe or something, it's like this living being that we live in. It's like I told several times in the deep dive, it's just the breath from the core opening and closing. And the universe is breathing. And just like it is now expanding, being the circle, what is expanding? Yeah, the circle, the outside. And there is this remains of the core where it comes from, the black hole, as the point, and the movement in between there, which is full of beings and aliveness. And we are, of course, a perfect representation of that. The body is that black hole, is the core. The soul being that I am is the movement. And the mind represents the circle. And all of this is me. It's the Holy Trinity inside of me. So when we sink deep into the nature of our being, we start to experience also these three layers of breath. Now we're in very deep waters in the alchemy, because this is called the breath of the universe, the breath of the soul, the breath of the earth, and how they are intertwined, how they come together, I would say. Let's use our field as a group, the unity that we are in, as a foundation to experience the breath of the soul. And make sure you're not changing anything. The only thing you need is your intention to connect to the wisdom, the intelligence, the consciousness of this group. And you already are. You don't need to picture different faces. The group becomes the circle, and you're the point. So the focus now is on the heart-soul space. It doesn't mean that the focus of the breath needs to go there, but it's because we have our intention of the breath on the soul, which is most deeply grounded in the heart-soul space. And now, While breathing in, you feel expanding into the group consciousness, becoming this one collective soul. I'm breathing in, right? Or the other way around. Just feel what is natural for you. For me, it would be breathing in, expanding. Breathing out, contracting. And when contracting, it becomes in your core of your soul. So you don't need to use a lot of mind and intention. You just have your intention in breath, and the breath creates the connection. So you move between the one and the all. And you use the group, the experience of the group as a bridge to humanity. Because it's just a circle. And that circle might be somebody else, one other being, or 7 billion. We carry the wisdom of humanity, each of us in our soul. Feel what happens in your heart-soul space. It's subtle but profound. Just notice and then let it go. So don't start focusing on the process. It will take you away from the breath of life happening through us now. Now we keep this connection between your core and the breath of life. And our intention is heaven. Connect to heaven. The circle becomes heaven. I am purposely say heaven and not the universe, because heaven is something else. Or you might feel how the breath is changing quite instantly. And it also shifts to another place in your aura. But first, let it stabilize. Let it do its work. Again, you have the intention. That's what you do. The breath does the work for the rest. So have your intention clear and still. That means no other or as little as possible other thoughts. Heaven is breathing. Everything has rhythm. Everything that is. That's one of the Hermetic laws. The sensation on the heart-soul space will most likely become less, but more in your aura and in your head, around your head. But you feel it where you feel it. I want to emphasize, even if there's all kind of beings and energies that are flying around, and there's many of them right now, you notice them in the corner of your eye, or the corner of your mind would be better, then don't pay any notice to them. There is in our way of being present anyway gratitude. That will do. The gratitude is in the breath. Now, some of you will feel the breath stopping at times. Keep your mind still, relax completely. And again, let it continue or let it start again when it starts. It's none of your business, right? You gratefully accept this new breath. Now, if you get tired or too stiff or something, please feel free to lay down, but stay into that state. You can lay on your back. But stay into the unity of heaven. Now gradually shift your intention to breathing with the earth. Don't go to the planet. The earth is enough. The earth in its spiritual core has no form, just like we have no form. And in this formless state that we already are, we can enter it or be with it instantly. So you might feel earth first below you, but that's because on top of it, because you are on top of it. Once you're in earth and then blend with earth. And I think we can skip most of these things because we already are in that state. Then there is no separation. Then it's just the breath connecting you with her. Your earth body, your soul body, your heaven body. All connected through breath, through life. And the breath is the rhythm of life. Now, no intention except for life. Three become one. Just relax completely. Even forget about the breath. You can stay in this position for some minutes Take like a 5 minute little break, but don't switch off. Just stay wherever you are. Time for yourself. Let's continue. Are you still breathing? That was beautiful together. So what I was showing was the different aspects of breath. First, we have the chaotic breath created by the I mind. That means I breathe as I feel myself, as I experience my environment also. If I'm angry, I get very. If I'm afraid, then I stop breathing. If I'm emotional, it's not my breath, it's what I make of it. It's an expression of my emotion then, just like my body becomes that. And that's okay if I can leave it in that moment. If it becomes habitual, that means if we do it most of the time, we get attached to that form. Our mind get attached to the form. And we start to identify with that kind of breathing. So breath cannot reach us anymore. And we start separating from life, getting busy with living. That's quite a state of suffering. That's why many masters in the past and the present are saying that just by allowing breath, allowing life to happen inside of you, cures all of the problems and illnesses. So those of you who are with a partner, you can do that, and otherwise you work on your own body. If you don't work on a partner, it might be interesting just to, in the beginning, to look a little bit and then do it on your body. You can also place your camera that way that you can work on your body and look to the side while you lay down. But anyway, I will use the words, not so much to see, just use a body to get into that other state of being. Read best. So part of the text was true breath only shows when I am life. A mantra, I'm not so much into mantras as you might have noticed, although there's through the life force ritual, we had some mantras coming in, powerful mantras. And I am life is one of the favorite ones that, well, I know many of you like that mantra. When we breathe, it goes in two ways because it is like I breathe in, then life fills me up and I feel that I am life. And when I breathe out, then life is I. I breathe in, I am life. And life is I. I life is I. It's very powerful if you do it that way. And gradually the words disappear in silence, but the breath remains and the echo of the mantra then stays. Mm. I would say maybe the most fundamental thing with alchemy of bodywork and most bodywork you will experience is the honoring of life in the person. That is so powerful. And that is also what people need so desperate. Somebody comes in your practice and they feel miserable. I heard somebody saying today she had somebody visiting. They feel so bad and so everything hurts when I touch and my life is. And then you honor the life in them because, oh my God, they're breathing. They're fine. Their heart beats. They're beautiful. And that you notice that. And another sentence in the text was, touch makes breath substantial, makes life also substantial. That is how breath and metal are also connected to each other. This metal element is kind of a mysterious thing. It's metal, right? Okay. It's crystals, right? I got it now. But then you read that the Taoist masters talk about metal. Oh yeah, the lake. Oh, the full moon. Wasn't that fire? The Milky Way. All metal. All metal. One is heaven. The other one is earth, depth of the earth. So what is it? It's this crystallized air. That's what it is. And by consciously touching, keeping the mind really still, we crystallize life in this person and the place that we touch. And it's a great art, first of all, just like when you were practicing in your own state of meditation, to forget about the person. I can, if I look at her, hey, I know this woman, right? But before, when I was talking to you, I don't know anything, but I'm aware of this body the whole time. And then you can start your relation in the purest form. And I'm asking you to, if you don't do that yet, to practice that. It works on all levels. It's not just in body work. It's like when you sit with in a business contact with this person on the other side of the table. Um, make sure that the fundament is that your body is present between heaven and earth with this other body, and you honor that. You might completely disagree with this person, but either you get out or you honor the fact that you are in this room, in this connection through your aura together, independent of liking or disliking. It's a fact. Two trees in a forest, they don't have the ability to notice each other. They just are there and they are alive and they are breathing. That is the earth version of it. That's how we have to approach body work. I don't care who you are. Caring, meaning the feeling, emotional, human stuff. No, first the fundamental thing. My body is here, your body is there, and they come together in the body of the earth. You get that? Because that's the unconscious layer that we enter. If we miss that point, we complicate the treatment. Because now if we don't see that, if we don't see the beauty and the perfection that there already is and the aliveness, guess what? I'm sure I'm going to find a problem. And I'm going to go with her story then probably of what's wrong and try to do something about it. So there's enough people who do that already. So we stick with the life that is present in front of me. So if you work with a person and another person, then do that. You can already touch or not. You're touching anyway, but physically, yes or no. You don't have to localize where it is, but you feel this presence, and it's not a piece of concrete. It's alive. So I'm advising you, whatever the person is saying to you before the treatment, when you place your hand, you you begin by touching and honoring the life in this person. Now, this is extremely simple, and yet it requires practice. Because we have to stay out of knowing the person, knowing the place, like I could say hip bone, jeans, trousers, all this stuff, then immediately I'm out. Now we don't focus so much on the breath as we know it, and we were in a different experience of breath. We have to keep that experience where we just come from. That means there is like a vibration, like a rhythm that goes much further than the movement. I can focus on this body. I can focus on this body. And maybe you should try that first. I can feel that the diaphragm is moving, right? And then I let it go. A little bit, our lungs are filling up and letting go, but she's already in a very deep state. So breath and life coming from everywhere. And yet, even if this, like now the breath has almost stopped completely, yet there is this vibration. There is this, I can feel the rhythm very far in her aura of life. We listen, and that's what I'm asking you, even if your hands are on your own body now, because it doesn't really matter. You can put your hands on your body. This is my ritual, actually, almost every morning. I wake up, oh my God, I'm alive. Put my hands on my body. I feel the life inside of me. It's very difficult not to be thankful. If your hands are moving like one of my hands was moving, as long as it doesn't have a plan, if it's not going somewhere, but it just moves. Rhythm has movement, so you let that happen. So the principle we use is like the oil patch. That means you start where the oil is, right? And then it spreads. So we start where life is. And now I noticed I came to a point where life is less abundant. So we also honor death in the body. We are constantly dying. We need to die constantly to let life emerge, to be born constantly. So there's places in the body that hold more death. We shouldn't be afraid of it. It makes life vital. And then, as what happens now, then sometimes more pressure appears. Sometimes you see forms, like I saw briefly the shape of her hip. But then, because that's not what we're doing now, I allow that to happen. But I don't start focusing on it. The best moves, the best touches are the moment that you have no clue. You should never say, I don't know what I'm doing. But the mind doesn't know why you're doing it. I know perfectly what I'm doing. It's the intelligence of my being doing this. And my brain doesn't understand, but that's okay. Because I trust life. I just do that. So the practice is, if we start from life, that is from the most intelligent place of this person in their body, in their being. It awakens the ability, the visibility also of the places that are not so intelligent, that are missing the breath of life. See, now it's opening. So the teacher in this work is the life showing us the nature of the body, right? Remember? That's where I got it. Wow, that's a deep, nice deep breath. Weer een detail, Yuri. So solutions there are, or the healing there is always simple. If it's not simple, it's not the right moment. It's like you try to pull the apple while it's 1 week too early before you can let go of the tree. Too early. And then always good. In the end, even if you work on your own body, just to relax. Don't do anything. Gratefully just being there. Good. Let's slowly come back. That was beautiful. Are you still breathing? It's kind of funny to see it. Here and there, heads are coming above the edge of the screen. So you can stay down or you can sit up, whatever you like. But anyway, I think my message came across. Well, I know that. I could feel it. While working with people, important to always to start with honoring the life in them. And the easiest way is to how miserable they feel. They're always breathing, right? So they can't be that bad. And if you start listening to that breath, even if you do it yourself, I have this thing in my spine and in my body, so I'm a little bit forced to do it because otherwise my breath tend to stop in my body. And so I was kind of obliged to do that. But I start so totally enjoying that. Then when I touch it, I can feel, oh, it seems like I have another breath, I have another life, another day, another part of life inside of me. So by doing that, you invite life to return to that place. And it will start by the place where it is. Remember, the oil patch starts with the oil. Then it can become a patch. It doesn't mean that you put your hand on the place that is breathing the most. You connect to life, not to the breathing in itself. So when you put your hand and it's not the right place, you will move it automatically. But actually the place doesn't really matter where it is. And when in this way you start, you come from the deep, from a prenatal state, but you most likely the person is in this dualistic postnatal state. So they are into breathing in the beginning. Some people really do their best to breathe even when they lay there. That spoils the whole thing. Then if you touch them and you listen to first the postnatal breath of their lungs, of their body, and gradually the I mind and the form and the naming starts to disappear. We can also call that relaxing. So we shift from the postnatal out of the, remember, the naming. The internet is unstable. The naming to the form and then to the place. You don't even know where you touch, and they start to forget also where you touch them. That is very good if you get that, because then the form, which is connected also to the thoughts and to their life that makes them suffer so much with all the problems, the form is connected to it. So if that form melts, another breath can come up, and you keep doing that. You honor that deeper form of life in this person by being with it. That's the most important thing. And automatically from where the life is, it starts to spread then. It starts to spread. And that's the moment where, in this body, where I could feel my hand was moving there. I had no clue why, but my body knew exactly that. It often goes to places where light is poor, where there is more, where there's death, where there's not integrated in the whole ecosystem of the body and life. But since you come from this source of life, it's kind of you spread the message, you could say. Now, most of the therapies and coaching and consulting and helping people often comes from changing the problem. We approach the problem, try to make it better, but the whole place is stupid. That means, like, what I mean is, it's clearly like I have places in my body that I've often heard, they are really slow, these places. It's not the most intelligent part of me. So it's really crucial that we start from the deepest place of intelligence in the person and open that up and spread it through the body, right? If you say, okay, we have to do something with math in a group, I would go for who knows about math and tell that to the whole group, not to pick a random person who doesn't know anything about it. That's what we often do. We go to that place, we try to improve it. But of course, it's a lot of work because it's not an intelligent place. And it is already isolated. And since I approach it, it is like a child. And the parents think that the child is a problem, and it goes to therapist after therapist. And that becomes the problem of the child, that it is approached as a problem. So what we do is to spread, and then the movement and the different touches, they in itself correct the misalignment that and the not being in tune that is in the body.
So is the breath the carrier of this intelligence?
Yeah, absolutely. Nice one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, is the breath the carrier of that intelligence? Absolutely. Yeah. The 3 stages of the breath. But the carrier is, no, the 2 stages of the breath. The postnatal is not the carrier. The prenatal is the carrier. And of course, the emptiness, which is the source of the breath, well, is the source. It's not the carrier, but it's just as important. Great. Are there any questions on this moment? Or I can imagine it's quite difficult to share something right now. And it's also not necessary. Now, just like I said, but I'm going to repeat it, what I said in the beginning. What do you do with this? Absolutely nothing. You just allow it. That's the only thing. I'm sure I could feel very well the transmission. So it's inside of you. It has been there all the time. And now it's just to remember that this place is there. You will feel that your sensitivity, your awareness in the breath with yourself and your ability to connect through the breath with this other person will become much higher now. Well, it's actually a relief for me to share these things because I think Alchemy of Bodywork is great, but it's really the essence of what makes it powerful, what makes it work for me. And it's something that people have been asking me. Why is it when you touch people, something else is happening? Well, not easy to explain 1, 2, 3. And it's mainly because of the mysticism that is behind it, the mystery that moves through it. Mm. But I think you guys are doing great. Although I probably don't see all of you, but no questions or sharing? Because I'm about finished. Mhm. Het is aan het typen, denk ik. Yeah, you can also say it if you want.
Yeah, can I ask?
Of course.
Yeah, because maybe I missed it, but you said in the beginning, in the breath of life, there's 3 layers.
Yeah.
The first one is who is breathing,
Yeah.
and then the rest
What?
I missed, or well, I
No.
was very deep in, so
No, we
maybe
did
it just
two
happened.
things at the same time. It's who is breathing, and then the breath is the rhythm of life. And that was the second one, to start feeling that rhythm. Um, and what was the third one?
Was it about the
Oh yeah. No,
origin?
it's making making the breath substantial through touch. That's what we did. Right. When I was talking about crystallizing the air with your mind and your touch, I went through that maybe a little bit fast, but when I was talking about what is the unity between the crystal, the lake, and the Milky Way, and why do they all call it metal? Because it's with the cosmic mind, it is brought into the specific reflecting form. And that's what we can also do by touching very consciously from the prenatal. We bring life back in that place in its form. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have the feeling I felt it, but I do not understand it mentally. But that's not really.
Well, I even forget the third one, as you noticed.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think it makes sense. That was the most important third thing.
Mm.
First, the one who's breathing needs to go.
Yeah.
It has to become another one. Then it's about feeling the rhythm of life, but also the rhythm, feeling different aspects of life, the 3 different layers, which I natal then, and primordial as the emptiness where it comes from. And then it's
Now the sound, I don't hear you anymore. It's just some blub, blub, blub.
that's what I said.
Okay, then it's good.
Blah 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 blah.
Thank you.
No. So the 3 again, I was saying, changing the one who's breathing. Second one is the 3 stages of the breath itself, from the post, the pre, and then the primordial being the emptiness. And the third one is the making a substantial by conscious touch. That more clear? Yeah.
Yeah, that's more clear. Thank you.
Clear.
Yeah.
Er is een draadje los. Ik heb het erop. Janine, you had also a question, I think. Ah, it was really beautiful.
Yes, I didn't had any question. I think a lot happened tonight with me and my body buddy. I call her my body buddy. So I wanted to
your
thank
belly
you.
button.
No, my body buddy.
Body, buddy, belly button.
Precies.
Yeah.
So I wanted to thank you. It was a beautiful night.
Great, great. I also enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Voor de ademhalingsoefening. Beautiful. Okay, then I wish you a beautiful evening, all of you. Thank you for being with us. We are with our 4 again here. It's always very cozy. And as I said, I enjoyed it really very much. It was really like we have our room here filled with students. So that's great. And it's very promising what we can do with this in the next months. This will have a strong effect if you will start listening to the deep dive initiations again, putting your hands on your body. And something I can already say is that a month ago or something, we did a workshop with Brechtje in Rotterdam. Maybe some of you were there. And we accidentally somehow came into helping people to go from initiation 1 and 2 to initiation 3, because we noticed there is actually quite few of the people who did all the 4 initiations. And Ronald was there too. I can see him there hanging now. Yeah. There's so many people who love initiation 1 and 2, right? The deep dive and going the vital darkness and the source of vitality. And then start talking about the true soul. It's like, oh my God, now that I got into the good sleep, you start waking me up again. People don't want that, you know? They don't like this part of the deep dive so much. It's because they don't really, well, it is in the recordings, but it goes from deep yin now suddenly to small yang. And well, we found a good way there in that weekend to bring people there. So we decided to do 2 days in Hama also, somewhere in January. You will get the information on that. But for now, I would, if you want to go into that, repeating the initiations for yourself and see what the difference is, and of course, practicing it with people and on your own body. Starting with your own body. Waking up during the night, just placing your hands and so on.
Would you say this is connected to a certain initiation, 1 and 2?
No. No, like I said, would you say it's connected to initiation 1 or 2? I would say no. This is the whole package. The out breath is more initiation 1 and 2. The in breath is more 3 and 4, right? Mm-hmm. There's a message from Holy Moly. Yeah, from Justin. I didn't know we had Holy Moly in the group. No, it was Justin. Yeah, I also thought so. It was powerful, Justin. I like that. Yeah. Certainly when the collective breath I liked very much between us in the group, the soul breath. That was beautiful. And I know out of experience, well, you cannot program it, but this is not going to go away. This is going to stick with you. Okay, beautiful people. May the breath be with you. Thank you for being there, and see you next time. And you always have the link. Since you have the link now, you have the link for all the 6 sessions. Remember, you don't need a new link. It's the same one. Bye-bye. Thank you.